Hey everyone, welcome to episode 5 of Shaman Talk with Tegan. If you're coming back after listening to last week's episode, thank you, because I did not realize the last 3 minutes of that video had no sound. So from what I remember, I don't think I said anything too new or crazy or anything like that. I think I mostly just kind of recapped what I had said before. Like I said too in the video, I'm going to be making probably another one at some point because there's still lots to kind of understand and go over when it comes to spirits and spirit attachment and things like that. Might at that point get into like possession. We'll see. Not trying to scare anyone, but yeah. So we'll move on anyways from that. Like I said, not too much left unsaid for now on that video. Gonna chalk it up to, learning experience. Make sure I check all of my video before I post. I did buy a little microphone and I am not using it this time, so the sound quality might not be quite as good, but I'd rather there be sound than, no sound at all. So here we go with episode 5. We're going to start talking about the medicine wheel. So when I did my shamanic training, you start by, really it's broken up into 4 chunks. And you go around what's called medicine wheel, north, south, east, west, same as the cardinal directions. So 4 directions, and you start in the south. And each point in the medicine wheel, first of all, takes months. So what the videos I'm going to make on these are going to be a very, very condensed version of what you do. But again, I'm not on here trying to tell you every little detail or make it seem like I am initiating anybody in some way, because that's not the case either. We'll just do a brief overview of what the whole training in each direction entails. So each direction also has an archetype or an animal that coincides with that direction, and each direction has 4 main kind of teachings that you start to understand and integrate into your life, and that's really a big game changer, at least for me. And I know a lot of people I did the training with, once we truly start to integrate these teachings into your life, it's like, oh, hold on a minute. That, along with that physical healing that I've talked about, like illuminations and soul retrievals, it really does change your life. So you start in the south. The south, at least for me, and I'm sure the people I did the training with would probably agree, that is the most intense point of the shamanic training. Because in the south, first of all, you have the serpent, and that is the archetype of the south. And the serpent, as we know, snakes can shed their entire skin, right? And that's basically what you're doing in the south, or what you're starting to do. You start to shed your identity and shed who you are, or who you think you are, or what others have told you you are. And at first it sounds very scary, because a lot of us have that kind of ego, and not in a negative, well, kind of negative way, but ego is a very difficult thing, and that's a whole nother episode. But we have this attachment to who we think we are and have to be. And so at first it can be very scary of thinking about shedding your entire personality or shedding your entire life. And that's not necessarily exactly what happens, but you do start to shed these roles that we play. And that's going to bring me into the first teaching. We're just going to talk about one of the teachings today, not all 4. And that is the practice of non-attachment. And this is something that you can do right now. You can start doing this and putting this and integrating this into your life, into your being, non-attachment. And this, kind of forks off into all different places until your life, and it can be explained in a lot of different ways. But the first one, like I was saying, is attachment to these roles and these labels that we either give ourselves, society gives us, other people, our family gives us, and that we feel we have to emanate. And you don't have to do any of that. So for example, even, so let's just say you grew up and you were kind of the weakling, either in the family or in your friend group or whatever, because you showed a lot of emotion. So you were kind of labeled like, oh, she's just weak. She cries a lot, Whether you understand that or not, that starts to impact you and how you live and how you make your decisions. So through looking at the practice of non-attachment, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Just because I have a lot of feelings doesn't mean I'm weak. and we can shed that idea of us, of who we are to other people or to ourselves. Another example, even things that aren't seemingly negative, but anything that someone describes you as that maybe makes you go, really? Or like that you're hardcore, like, yeah, that's me, that's who I am. I am a mom, and that's it. It's not it. It's okay, it's great to be a mom, be proud, and have your kids and love them, but mom is not who you are. You are a being, you are a soul, and you have so many different abilities and so many different choices in life that you really don't have to, like, we're always trying to like pinpoint and funnel into this one little thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, and this happens a lot with like cultures too. It's great. Like, I'm Irish, so when St. Patrick's Day comes up, of course I'm gonna be like, woohoo, I'm Irish. But that is not what defines me. It's not like, oh, I'm Irish, that's all I know, all I have to be, and whatever, you know what I mean? So it's these labels and these attachments to things that we grow, and again, even if they're not seemingly negative, we have to like detach from them. So like I said, when St. Patrick's Day comes around, it's fun to celebrate and tell my daughter, yeah, you're part Irish. But then that's it, It's okay to understand your ancestry and your roots, and I'm just speaking from my point of view. Like, I did my family tree, but then I don't let that be the only thing that I think about, and it's not what defines me. I've been alive in so many different places throughout history that it's like, well, this lifetime I'm Irish, but in other lifetimes, like, for example, I was in ancient China at some point. That, again, that's a whole nother episode, but what I'm saying is that we attach these ideas of that's the core of who we are and who we have to be. Even in some of my videos when I do my daily poll or my weekly polls, it's like we have these ideas of like, oh, I would like to write a book. And then your ego stops you being like, no, you're not a writer. You've never written anything a day in your life. Who do you think you are? But then it's like, oh, wait, I can, if I want to, just start typing away and whoop, there you are. You're a writer now. So letting go of these limiting roles and labels that we have can help you get further along in life and be closer to who you actually are, which is a light being. Everyone at their core is a soul and a light being, and that is all. There's no labels attached to it besides that one. Even for me, being a shaman, I mention it just because so people have an idea of what the hell this podcast is about, but I don't go around telling every single person I meet because it doesn't matter. If people come to me, indicating that they need healing, I'll be like, oh, okay, well, I have a way to help you. But even, I have to sometimes detach from that and be like, oh, I am a shaman, I'm initiated, but that is not the essence of who I am. I'm so much more than that. I got so much more going on, whether it's this lifetime, last lifetimes, up, in the ethereal world. There's lots going on, so taking almost a step back from these things, and sometimes maybe you have to like list them out. Well, what are the things that people think of me, or what do I think of me? And you have all these labels, trying to detach from them. It's okay to still be proud of being a mom, being like on St. Patty's Day, being like, oh, I'm Irish, woohoo, but not letting those things like rule who you are. Okay, I'm gonna move on from that. There is another kind of non-attachment practice that I know I have trouble doing still, that I need to remind myself constantly, and that's attachment to outcome. So a good example is this podcast. I made this podcast, like I said in my description in my first video, so that what I do is more readily available. That information is more readily available if you're looking just for a different point of view, if you're looking for healing, if you're looking whatever it is and you find this and you connect to it in any way at all, that's great. So I made sure that when I started this, my practice to the non-attachment of outcome is that, I'm not doing this so that I can be, a famous YouTuber and make all this money and whatever. And that was never my intention, but I had to make sure that when I posted that I wasn't attached to that type of idea. You know what I mean? That I just put it out there because I wanted the information to be out there and for people to find it who need it or who are just curious or whatever it may be. I feel like we do this a lot as well, just as a society. Of course, we want what's best for us or our families and things like that, but when we make certain decisions, we have to put it out into the universe and take a step back and just let it figure itself out. Or if you know the next step you have to make, do it, but don't do it being like, this has to work, this is the only option. Because although at times it might feel that way, it's not the only option. That's just our limiting beliefs that we have for ourselves, you know? So when you do something or try something new, try to detach from the outcome. I sometimes run into this when I do illuminations with people, especially if someone has had some type of energy work done in the past, like Reiki or whatever it is, and they'll come in being like, well, this is what happened last time, or I did it with so-and-so, and this is what they said. And I know it's hard, but you gotta detach from whoever and whatever happened last time, because especially when it comes to energy work, it's going to be different every single time you do it. Your experience is going to be different. My experience is going to be different. That's kind of the beauty of it, and it's amazing. But I have had clients who at the end, they're like, oh, well, last time I, felt very sad. I don't know. I'm just making this part up, but I don't want to give away people's information. But, oh, I felt this way after last time. Okay, well, this is this time. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to ramble and just lose everyone right now, but you got to detach from things. It's okay to be on a path and to have steps you want to take, but it's like we can't cling onto these things. That's what you've probably heard of, the Buddhist practice of like attachment is the root of all unhappiness or something like that. Sorry if I botched that. Attachment is the root of all suffering. A little extreme, I think, but it makes a good point. It's that when things don't go exactly the way we want, that's when we get sad and depressed and angry. And so there is something to that teaching, and it's very similar to the practice of non-attachment, where it's knowing that in the end, things are going to work out. Sometimes they don't work out the exact way we want or in the exact time that we want, but it's always going to be for the best. But you have to let it happen. So no matter what, whether it's certain labels, I am a CEO. That's great, but that doesn't define who you are. It doesn't make you somebody that I'm going to be just automatically attracted to because you're a CEO. You know what I'm saying? So we need to take a step back from labels that we've put on ourselves, that other people put on us, society have put on us. Don't let it define us. We also need to take a step back from attachment to outcome. So, trying to put things in motion, but don't latch onto that and hang on for dear life. Gotta let life flow sometimes, most of the time if you can. And like I said, I'm not trying to sit here and claim that I never have attachment to outcome, because like I said, it's something that I have to personally remind myself, a lot more than maybe I feel I should right now. But when things aren't going your way and you want to get so mad and annoyed, but it's like, oh, nope. I put out into the universe what I needed to, and I just have to take the small steps and otherwise surrender to what's going to happen with it. And that's the thing, is we all have these individual plans and ideas and things we need to accomplish in this life. So sometimes you just got to step back and let it happen. I'm sure a lot of you have heard the phrase, let go, let God. And whether you believe in God or multiple gods or whatever it is, it's very similar to that too. It's letting the universe step in when necessary. If you're doing the work and you have the clear mind and it's meant for you, it'll come. Sometimes you got to sit in that uncomfortability and learn to live in it sometimes, with the non-knowing. But yes, so the practice of non-attachment is something that everyone can try and do in their life, and see if you feel just generally happier at times, or you might feel freer. I know I felt freer when I detached from the idea of who I thought I had to be. And that's the work of the South, detaching from old stories that are old pain. That's one that we hang on to as well, of retelling our terrible childhood traumas. Gotta try and let go of that. And again, that is a very flippant way to put it. That's a whole nother practice in this cycle. But, practice of non-attachment. Take a step back and try not to let those things, either drive who you are, or don't let that become the only thing you are. We're all very complicated, and that's okay. But sometimes you gotta take a step back and surrender. Okay, I will stop there about non-attachment. Again, try it in your own life. See what happens. I'm just going to put things out there like this. Of course, if you're hearing what I'm saying, you're like, ugh, no, that's fine. But I feel like this is something that everyone can try and do. All these practices are that I'm going to mention. And it's, not some big secret or anything like that. It's just an idea. So floating it out there. And as usual, if you have any questions or comments, of course, you can leave a comment. I honestly don't know if I'll see it. I'll check. But I clearly am not great with YouTube yet since I posted a video with 3 minutes of silence. So you can also contact me on Facebook or Instagram. My name on there is Tarot with Tegan. And I think I have a link to my website as well where you can find my email and things of that nature. So any questions, comments, concerns, hit me up. If I have said something that maybe triggered you, think about why it's triggering first. And then you can still contact me. I'm not here to trigger people. I'm not here to say anything negative ever out of judgment, anything like that. Just coming from a different perspective. So on that note, I hope everyone has a great day and maybe starts to implement the non-attachment.